This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, here's a nugget on the Parsha. It's out of this world. Clearly, much of what Bilaam is trying to accomplish is to uproot the Jewish people from their source, namely from Avraham Avinu. It's almost as if the progenitor of the Jewish people is Avraham, and the progenitor of the nations of the world is Bilaam. That's why in Pirkei Avos it says, if you have these good qualities, you're mitamidav shel Avraham. If you have these bad qualities, you're mitamidav shel Bilaam. He's trying to uproot us at our source. So, for example, Bilaam says, Ki meirosh tsurim erenu, I see from the top of the cliffs, I see him. Rashi says, I gaze at their origins and their roots, and I see them miyusadim v'chazokim kitsurim ugvais al yidei avois v'imahis. But Bilaam is trying to sort of uproot them at the source, and he's not able to. They're bedrocked at the source. The Maharal writes in Pirkei Avos Parakeh, Yesh lecha ladas, ki Avraham haya roish le'umah ha'Yisraelis. Avraham was the head of the Jewish nation. U'kshem shaya Avraham roish le'umah ha'Yisraelis. Bilaam was roish le'umais, because he was the Navi. They both saddled their donkey. They both took Shnei Na'arav Imai. Bilaam thought he would saddle the donkey to uproot Klal Yisrael. Hashem says, no, Avram Avinu already beat you to the chase. When Bilaam is going to curse Klal Yisrael, first time, the wall is like narrow on both sides. The first time, the road is more free. The second time it's narrow on one side. The third time it's narrow on both sides. The Balatura, the Sifsei Chum explains that the first time there was Revach Mikan Ulakan. He only had to tilt away a little bit. The second time he could only go in one direction. The third time, there is nowhere to go on either side. Rashi explains, this is a siman of the Avos. You want to curse Avraham, you have room on both sides. Bnei Yishmael, Bnei Keturah. You want to curse Yitzchak, there's only room on one side. Esav. You want to curse Yaakov, there's nowhere to go. So clearly, Bilaam was trying to uproot us at our source. Rashi says, Perek Chav Gimel, Pasuk Gimel, Es Shivas HaMizbachos Arachti. He said, their Avos only built 7 altars, and I myself built 7. Avram built 4, and Yitzchak built 1, and Yaakov built 2, and I built 7 myself. You see, it's the battle of like the origins of our people. I believe Rashi says elsewhere that Bilaam said, I brought more animals than Avraham Avinu. In fact, that's why Bilaam says, Min Aram Yanchini Balak. The same way Avraham came from Aram Naraim, I also come from Aram. So here's the remez. In the Sefer Ahavas Torah, we've quoted before, in terms of the number of times Hashem's name appears in the Torah is the equivalent of the number of words in the Haggadah Shel Pesach. You ready for this? Says Rav Pinchas Ish Horowitz. Bilaam is corresponding to Avram Avinu. How many words does Avraham Avinu speak in the Torah? Avram Avinu says 523 words in the Torah. And you'll say, what's the significance of 523? If you add up Aleph Lamed Pei, Beis Yud Taf, Gimel Mem Lamed, Daled Lamed Daled, Hey Yud, Vav Yud Vav, Zayin. In other words, if you spell out all the letters of the Aleph Beis B'miluai, you have 523. Avinu spoke Keneged Kol HaTorah Kula. How many words does Bilaam speak in this week's Parsha? 523 words. Unbelievable that the words of Abraham, the battle of the Titans, Avraham 523 and Bilaam 523. Gematria Aleph Beis B'miluai. Hashem says to Avram, Va'avarcha mevarchecha, those who bless you, I'm going to bless. Umekalelcha, but those who curse you, who are those who curse Avraham? Hashem was already being merames to Bilaam Harasha. Umekalelcha, those who curse you, or I will curse. By the way, we once spoke out that how many times does Hashem's name appear in the Chumash? 1,820. How many words in Haggadah Shel Pesach? 1,820. How many words does Yaakov, Rachel, and Leah speak in the Torah? 1,820. Yaakov, Rachel, and Leah. The Shvatim spoke 1,820 words in the Torah. How many words in the davening on Rosh Hashanah? 1,820. Okay, Rabbi Isai. You say, what does Rosh Hashanah have to do with anything? It's because this week's Parsha happened in the Yemei Elul, leading up to Rosh Hashanah, and that's why many of the Psukim of Malchios come from Parshas Bilaam. So that's just short thought, and the learning should be Liloi Nishmas, Chaya Chana Bas Chai Mordechai Aleh Shalom, sponsored by the Glatstein family. And now we move on to the Tefillah Shiur.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.